The Miami Dolphins are staring down a critical need before training camp opens. They must add a cornerback, and fast. And right now, all signs point to one name at the top of their list, Asante Samuel Jr. But there's a twist, and it's not the kind Dolphins fans will like. While Samuel Jr. is arguably the best remaining free agent cornerback, his possible arrival in Miami just hit a serious snag. Why? Because his own father, former Patriots star Asante Samuel Sr., just went scorched earth on the Dolphins front office. And we're not talking light criticism. It was brutal. But let's pause right there. Before we dive into this explosive update, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss the latest Miami Dolphins news. All right, back to business. From a roster building standpoint, Samuel Jr. makes perfect sense for Miami. Among the names still on the market, including Stephon Gilmore, Rasul Douglas, and Mike Hilton, he's the only one under 30. That fits the Dolphins' long-term plan far better than aging veterans built for a win-now contender. Yes, Samuel Jr. has dealt with injuries, but if healthy, he fits Miami's defensive timeline like a glove. So what's the problem? His father, again, Asante Samuel Sr., recently unleashed on the Dolphins during a podcast appearance. He called the organization sensitive, said it has no leadership, and even labeled head coach Mike McDaniel as a pushover. General manager Chris Grier? No backbone, according to SR. His exact words? They're running the team like a little league squad. Harsh? Definitely. But what does it mean for Samuel Jr.? His future in Miami? That's the tension, and it's real. Will family drama keep the Dolphins from landing the top free agent corner on the board? We'll be watching it closely. Stay locked in, because if the Dolphins make a move at cornerback, you'll hear it here first. Here's the thing no one wants to say out loud. Asante Samuel Sr. might actually have a point. When he called out Mike McDaniel as being too soft, when he said Chris Grier lacks a backbone, it felt harsh. But look at how the Dolphins handled things this offseason. They forced tough conversations. Whether it was Jalen Ramsey or Bradley Chubb, the message was clear. If you want to stay here, take the pay cut, or find the door. And let's not forget the quiet but very real whispers about Tyreek Hill being tradable. That's not the same Miami Dolphins we've seen before. So, maybe Senior wasn't entirely wrong. But let's not crown him a truth teller either. This is the same guy who torched Bill Belichick and the Patriots, the very organization that gave him his NFL platform. And yeah, he dropped that interception in the Super Bowl against the Giants, the one that could have prevented the legendary helmet catch. History remembers. Bottom line, Asante Samuel Sr. is loud. That doesn't make him wise. So now the question becomes, is his son, Asante Samuel Jr., on the same page? Would he actually avoid Miami? Not because of scheme, playing time, or salary, but because he sees the Dolphins the same way his father does? That's the real concern. Some insiders don't think so. According to both Barry Jackson and Omar Kelly, not only have the Dolphins checked in on Samuel Jr.'s health, but there's also speculation that the father and son aren't even that close. Barry noted that Miami may still be exploring other options, names like Rasul Douglas, Stephon Gilmore, or even James Bradbury, who's flown under the radar this offseason. Omar put it plainly, Asante Samuel Sr. isn't exactly someone I take seriously when it comes to NFL insight anymore. That says it all. So yes, the Dolphins still have interest in cornerback help. Yes, Samuel Jr. remains a logical fit. But the biggest hurdle might be blood. Even with all the noise from his father, there's one thing that remains clear. Asante Samuel Jr. is still the best fit for the Miami Dolphins. Yes, his father's criticism of the organization made headlines. But insiders have already made it clear. Father and son aren't as close as people think. Their views don't have to align. And in the NFL, business always outweighs the drama. So let's talk football. Among the remaining free agent corners, Samuel Jr. offers something the others don't: real upside. He's younger, faster, and more scheme versatile than names like Rasul Douglas, Stephen Gilmore, James Bradbury, or Mike Hilton. Yes, there are injury concerns, but when he's on the field, his tape speaks loud. And here's why it matters for Miami. This team isn't chasing a full rebuild. They're hovering around that fringe playoff line. If the roster stays healthy, and they get even one breakout star in the secondary, the whole season shifts. That's what makes Samuel Jr. so valuable. He's not just a plug-in. He's the kind of player who can blossom unexpectedly, turn a weak secondary into a respectable one, and give Miami the defensive boost they've lacked for years. Pair that kind of growth with a top 15 pass rush and a balanced defense, you're not just making the playoffs. You're winning games when you get there. And let's be honest, that hasn't happened in a long time. This is why I'm still all in on Asante Samuel Jr. He's the smart bet, the high upside swing, the type of move a serious contender makes before training camp kicks off. And unless something changes drastically, he remains the most impactful free agent Miami could add right now. Let's get into the actual tape, because when you break down Asante Samuel Jr., it's easy to see why he's such a natural fit for what the Miami Dolphins defense is building. Yes, he's just 5'10", but don't let that fool you. His long arms and physical mindset make him a real problem at the line of scrimmage, especially in press man coverage. He doesn't just survive against bigger receivers, he competes. In fact, his metrics in man-to-man coverage tell the story. Lower completion percentage allowed, lower QB rating when targeted. He's sticky, disruptive, and confident on an island. Now, Miami doesn't live in man coverage. They mix things up. Under Anthony Weaver, this defense is going to be unpredictable. One snap, it's cover 3. The next, it's a disguised blitz package, followed by press man with zone rotation underneath. That's where Samuel Jr.'s true value shines. He's one of the rare corners who can play in any scheme without being a liability. And more importantly, he fits the timeline. This isn't just about filling a short-term need like you do with Rasul Douglas or Stephen Gilmore. Those guys might help for one season, then you're right back to needing youth. But Samuel Jr., if he stays healthy, you're talking about a potential long-term starter who can anchor your secondary through his prime. Think about that. A player entering age 26, growing with the defense, developing chemistry, and elevating the secondary from bottom 10 to respectable, or better. He's not just the best remaining option. He's the only one with real upside, real youth, and real staying power. According to reports, he's still on track to sign in early to mid-July, right after his medical recheck following neck surgery. That means if the Dolphins want in, the window is now. And if they're serious about leveling up on defense, he's the move that makes the most sense. Here's what we know. Asante Samuel Jr. is still on the market, but likely not for long. After dealing with both shoulder and neck issues throughout last season, he underwent neck surgery in April, just before the draft. According to Jeremy Fowler, teams are expected to receive a medical update in early July, and once that's in, offers will start flying. So if Miami's going to act, it'll be in the next 2 to 3 weeks. The Dolphins have already expressed interest. They've checked in but haven't offered a contract or brought him in for a visit yet. The front office is waiting on those medical results just like the rest of the league. And if everything clears, Miami is very likely in the mix. Let's zoom out a little. With training camp rapidly approaching, there are 2 final moves that could truly round out Miami's offseason. 1. Add a veteran cornerback, ideally Samuel Jr., though Rasul Douglas would be a solid fallback. 2. Address the tight end position, whether it's through a late trade or a depth signing. This remains a real need. Names like Jalen Watson or Greg Newsome too would be dream trade targets. But realistically, a signing is more likely. And let's be honest, tight end is a true question mark heading into camp. If Darren Waller doesn't deliver, the Dolphins could find themselves scrambling mid-season to fix it. The blueprint is clear. Shore up the secondary with one more proven cover man. Give the offense a tight end who can contribute on day one. Then, and only then, this team enters training camp complete. The NFL's top 100 list, voted by players, not media, is rolling out again. And Tua Tagovailoa has officially made the cut, coming in at #91. A lot of fans didn't expect to see him on the list at all, and some are already calling it a reach. But let's break it down with some perspective. Tua landed just ahead of players like Leonard Williams, Aaron Jones, Drake London, Levante David, Josh Sweat, Sam Laporta, and Creed Humphrey, all respected names in their own right. And let's not forget, this isn't based on hype. It's based on votes from the guys who line up across from him every Sunday. Now, I'll be real. I'm not the guy saying Tua is a top 5 quarterback. I'm not handing him the Super Bowl crown. But I'm also not blind to what he's doing in Mike McDaniel's complex, motion-heavy system. His responsibilities aren't simple. Every snap requires fast reads, elite timing, and total accuracy, all while managing pre-snap chaos that very few quarterbacks in the league could consistently handle. Sure, he has physical limitations, but he also has elite processing, and that's what this offense is built on. When Tua is healthy, and that's the big if, the results speak loudly. He led the NFL in passing yards in 2023. He took the Dolphins to the playoffs, and he's compiled a 38-24 record as a starter. That's not luck. That's production. So why the constant criticism? Some say he can't stay healthy. That's fair. Some question his ceiling. Also fair. But when you see his own peers, the ones chasing him down and game planning against him, label him a top 100 player, it carries real weight. You don't have to crown him. You just have to respect the fact that when he plays, Miami wins. And if he can stay upright for all 17 games this season, don't be surprised if the Dolphins are playing deep into January.